The University of Detroit Mercy presents another brand new episode of Ask the Professor, the radio show on which you match wits with University of Detroit Mercy professors in an unrehearsed session of questions and answers. Today's program was recorded using Zoom video conferencing technology.
The University Tower chimes ring in another session of Ask the Professor, the show on which you match wits with University of Detroit Mercy professors in an unrehearsed session of questions and answers. I'm your host, Matt Mayo. Let me introduce to you our panel for today. He's kind of wearing a stripy shirt and sitting on a stripy couch. It's Professor Stephen Manning.
Good description.
Yeah, well, lots of books in the background. It's totally academic. This is the real deal here.
Yep. Delivered by Amazon in 2 days.
Yep.
I can't help myself. You're a political scientist. I know your expertise from my memory is actually Eastern philosophies, China in particular, but another fantastic day for the select committee yesterday, Stephen. Any comments?
I agree. Another fantastic day. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the subpoena.
Exactly.
Oh, he won't. He'll refuse it.
Of course.
Then it's just a question of what they're going to do. There'll be a vote on the floor of the House, I think.
Really?
Probably.
He really, Beth? I didn't think that he would ignore it. Really? That surprises
No,
me.
why would I think that?
I don't know. So, Stephen, what were you going to say?
He
Although
might.
he's claimed he's claimed in negotiations, he wants to, if he appears before the committee, he wants to do it live. And they haven't offered that to anybody else who has sat there. They've always done the interviews before that. Even if they appeared later in person live, they've always had pre-interview things. So everybody knew what was going on.
He might accept it and then just show up and say whatever he wants to.
Or just, these 30 or 31 people who have pleaded the fifth, that's on good advice from their attorneys.
Sure.
Because anything they say, they're liable to perjure themselves,
Right.
which is a federal crime if you perjure yourself in front of a congressional committee. So it's frustrating, but it's smart lawyerly advice to be told, just keep saying the
Plead the
fifth.
fifth. Yep.
Mhm.
His lawyers just must want to commit suicide. I'm sure that if he actually went before Congress and testified, that would be it. That would be their last straw. He would, he would incriminate himself, or more likely he would perjure himself.
Right, exactly. So, wow, that was way more than I bargained for, even though it is quite interesting. I really did appreciate the CNN headline this morning. This thing points to all the select committee stuff, not actually the worst thing that happened to this guy today. I was like, well, that's kind of a cool headline. Let's continue around the horn and we can switch gears a little bit. Professor Mara Livesey is with us. You were nodding before, so I'm guessing you're caught up on Rings of Power. You're in the middle of it.
Yes, I'm finally caught up on Rings of Power, and I am so pumped because we're starting to see very clearly how these are the prequel episodes to the Fellowship, and it's just ooh, every episode is more interesting.
I find that if I throw a bit or piece into my class meetings, that you see the ears perk up almost literally of the Tolkien fans in the crowd. So it's actually kind of an easy way to vet your students. And I've got a couple students that are foaming at the mouth, considering tonight or today is the very last episode of this part of the series.
Yeah.
So fun stuff. Fun
I
stuff.
think I would have been very daunted to try to add anything to Tolkien.
Yes, except for then
Literally
you
got it.
sort of get the preview, Jim, and it's basically 10,000 years before anything that we would have originally seen. So they've got a little bit of wiggle room.
10,000 years is enough time to kind of.
Professor Beth Oljar, you always have the best suggestions for streaming. What are you in the middle of right now?
We're watching the Discovery of Witches series for probably the fifth or sixth time.
That's awesome.
Mara's starting, I guess you're starting the second book or ready to start the second book in this series.
Yep.
So and we rewatch The Crown because of course November 9th is when we get
That's right.
the first episode of season 5.
Very cool.
So,
It's all coming up. There's always a lot of stuff happening all at once.
mhm.
If it wasn't for Rings of Power, I'd be getting washed with a wet noodle over not seeing all this new Star Wars that's been out recently. But I think that's going to have to wait until we finish a couple other things. It's good to have good things to watch.
We kind
That's
of
what
have
I
run
say.
out of shows, actually.
Sure. Well, that's when you start
Yeah.
rewatching the ones you really like. Exactly.
We do that quite a bit. I would not want to tell you the number of times we've watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel all the way through.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know that Professor Aaron Bell is at a conference right now. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what the conference is about, broadly, teaching and learning, I would guess.
Yeah, it's been really great. I've enjoyed this conference. It's the first time back after a big panda, as we say. There's been a lot. Actually, I did sit in on a session relating to the Society of Professors of Philosophy. So that was kind of interesting. And they were talking about how they have a teaching hub at every conference because sometimes teaching kind of takes backstage at those academic conferences of the discipline. So that was a good one. We also had a keynote about using this beloved device in class a little more mindfully. So that was kind of neat too. Seeing some good spec grading and alternative grading strategies. So just hoping I can bring a lot of that back to our Detroit Mercy community and share it out with faculty. I'm pretty pumped. I've had a lot of coffee today, not gonna lie. So
If there's an alternative grading strategy that gets me out of doing it, I would really be interested in that.
yeah,
Be
they
surprised what's out there,
bribery.
Beth.
haven't gotten that far yet, but make it a
Or
little
that will
easier.
grade papers for me, that would be super.
That would be
I don't
awesome.
have jobs though.
Continuing around the horn, Professor Heather Hill is here. How's it going, Heather?
I'm pumped. I got
Baby Yoda.
Grogu. Even I
That
know his
is-
name is Grogu.
That's so cute. Where did you get that?
Olivia made it.
Oh,
It's
She
one
has,
of
an,
a
for
she has an Etsy shop.
No way.
that is
Promo.
super cool.
You
Oh.
can you can have custom crochet things made.
Oh my gosh, that is classy stuff. I'm gonna find that Etsy shop when we're done here today. Holy smokes.
Another
That is so
toy
cool.
for the dog.
No,
Uh-oh.
actually, everybody be quiet. I'm actually gonna give this to Shaolan
Oh.
because people give her
Yoda stuff.
Yoda stuff. So
That's
I
cool.
saw that Olivia was making these and I got one for her.
That is
So this is
super,
actually for
super
Shaolan.
cool.
Even though I'm
Yoda is
kind of falling in love with it.
Yoda is the
Mhm.
coolest
So
character ever.
cute.
Yep.
But anyway,
So much
she-
mystery surrounding
Yeah.
Grogu.
So yeah, I guess I can advertise her Etsy shop on
That's neat.
Cool.
Ask the Professor. I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of
I
it.
was gonna say, what's the name?
Oh boy.
Searches.
Uh-oh.
Searches.
It's okay. She's gonna look it up. I'll turn the
Moonlight Maid or
corner.
something. I don't know.
Okay, we'll find it.
I'll put it in the chat.
There
Yeah,
we go.
There we go.
And so all the listeners will listen for the chat.
The dog is right here and does seem very interested, so I'm going to put the
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hello.
Professor Dave Chow is here.
Pleasure to be here. As
So
always.
what did you get when you went to the 7-Eleven? Seriously.
Just bag of chips,
Okay.
Gatorade, a roll of Mentos as my usual.
All right. Let's-
You do know that Gatorade and Mentos are my secret for staying up late.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I learned this from my mom eons ago. She used to play mahjong till the cows came home, and she always said, "Stay hydrated, but don't do caffeine because you're going to do the the ups and downs. Don't do a lot of sugar, and keep something in your mouth because you're not you're prone to stay awake and not fall asleep and have a choking hazard."
Wow. Okay.
Interesting.
So it's worked.
It works for mahjong and late night art, apparently.
Yep.
That's awesome.
It does. So far so good.
Very cool. Professor Jim Tubbs is also here with us. Last but not least.
Hello, and I'm fascinated to learn the secrets of late night art.
No one
Awesome.
calls, no emails that if you don't want to deal with it, it's nice and quiet.
Well, I'm
That's
thinking of
true.
the Mentos angle. That sounds good.
Just to chew and nosh on something, that's all.
Mhm.
Yeah. And they're chewy. They're
Mhm.
nice and chewy.
And they are the fresh maker last time I checked. So,
Mm.
so
Mm.
if anybody unexpectedly stopped by Dave's house, everything is totally fresh.
Yes.
Oh, you were talking earlier about things being streamed this
Yeah.
week. I just watched, on the advice of the New York Times, I just watched Dairy Girls.
Oh, sure.
And it was delightful.
You know, they-
Absolutely
What is it?
delightful.
It's an Irish show about these
Yes,
right?
four
About
Catholic
these schoolgirls?
Catholic girls and one boy living in Derry, but having to go back across the border to go to Catholic school.
Mhm.
And it's about coming of age and dealing with the troubles at the same time. It's set in the early 90s, but it
Okay.
is a delightful show.
You know, they
Oh.
actually had an episode of the Great British Baking Show with some of the characters, some of the actors actually from Dairy
Oh.
Girls competing. It was
Very
really
cool.
Well,
funny.
my advice
And of course-
is to turn on the captioning in English when you watch it, because there's so many figures of speech that will fly right by.
Or the accents have got to be unreal, right?
Yes, that's
I've
right.
got Drew for the accents, and it doesn't matter whether it's English or Scottish or Irish. He can always, decipher them
Right,
immediately.
exactly.
So he's so handy that way.
That's great.
Bye.
Well, professors, this is a program. You can send us questions regarding anything. And listeners, if you stump the panel, you win one of our prizes. And if you don't stump the panel, you can win a prize. You can send us the questions in a number of ways. You can email us at atp@udmercy.edu. Find us on Facebook or Instagram, or listen on your favorite smart speaker by asking it to play Ask the Professor at University of Detroit Mercy. I love it. Dear profs, once again, your podcasts keep me entertained on my drive from Detroit all the way back to the UP. Hearing you all riff about Casablanca and Bogey, I was inspired to come up with some more movie questions. Some of these films go all the way back to the 30s. Many are more recent. They run the gamut from Kish to cult to mainstream, and every one of them has the name of a city in its title.
Uh-oh.
I'm giving you the plot. You guess the title. 9 out of 12 is passing. Straight up, there's the scale. Have fun. Our very, very good friend Marilyn Bachorik from Munising in the very, very cold Upper Peninsula, where it's already been 10 days since they had their first snow this fall.
She's my fellow Nero Wolf addict.
That's right. That's right. All right. So you remember, we have no idea in which direction, in which year these movies are coming from, but I'll give you a summary of the movie, and there is a city in the title. NBA referee Mickey and his wife Ellen struggle to keep their marriage going in spite of conflicting job demands. The story is told by their friends who are waiting for Mickey to meet them for dinner, and we wonder if Ellen will join them as
This
well.
was the Billy Crystal movie, wasn't it?
It is a Billy Crystal movie, yes.
I remember we had this something along those lines a while back.
Mhm.
It wasn't Sleepless in Seattle.
So it was from 1995, and it also starred Deborah Winger and one of my all-time favorites, Joe Mantegna.
Ooh, yeah.
He is
Fat Tony
great.
himself.
That Tony, yes.
Oh,
Remember, we've
Jim, we've had
it's
this
got
before.
a city in the title.
Yeah. It's not the fish, not the fish that ate, in Pittsburgh. What's that other one? Hold on. Think.
Well, it looks to me like you're having a problem remembering this title.
Recall, remember, oh God.
If I tell you the name of the city, it probably will give it away, but it seems like we're struggling a bit. The city is Paris.
Forget
Oh.
Paris.
Forget Paris is the name of the movie. There we go. Nice work, Heather. Nice work. Billy Crystal, Deborah Winger, and Joe Mantegna. That's right. The owner of a South American hotel can't get a music license for his grand opening and might lose everything. The band he hired solves the problem by putting a musical air show on. Wow. And dancing girls on the wings of low-flying planes.
Remember something in Rio.
Flying over Rio.
Flying down to
Flying
Rio.
down to Rio,
Yep,
yes.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that one starring Dolores Del Rio?
It stars Dolores Del Rio,
And
Gene
Fred
Raymond, and
Astaire.
Fred Astaire. Yeah, that's right. Very good. 1933. That was a good year.
Never saw it.
Well, unless you were in Germany, but Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I just whenever I get any 4-digit change, Beth, when I'm buying something at the store, I always say it's a good year. It doesn't matter if it's like 4250 or what. Oh, that was a good year, you know. I reckon using the Jewish calendar. I mean, come on, the Byzantine calendar,
As opposed to the
that's
Mayan
way to go.
calendar.
Right.
Well, the Gregorian one.
Well, the Mayan
During war-
calendar's already stopped.
Did it? Oh, that's right. 2012. I forgot about that.
Whoops.
During World War II, a submarine sneaks into a Japanese harbor and places a team of spies on shore so they can provide info for bombing raids. Dun, dun,
Something about
dun.
Tokyo. Destination
and-
Tokyo.
Destination Tokyo. That's right. Very good. Cary Grant, John Garfield, and our good friend Alan Hale. I know. whenever I
Senior.
bring him
Senior.
up.
Oh, yes.
That's right. Dave gets excited. Yep, exactly. Law professor, who comes up with these names? John Bottomley leads a task force to apprehend the killer who's terrorizing women. There are 13 victims before the murderer is apprehended. It's a very
Something in London, I'm
No,
assuming.
no. It's a
No?
classic from 1968.
Oh.
It starred Tony Curtis and Henry Fonda.
Boston Strangler.
The
Boston
Boston
Strangler.
Strangler. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
I remember that.
Oh my gosh. Mhm.
Sorry, my mind just went Boston Cooler there for a moment. I'm getting thirsty, so
We everything with the food, I swear. It's just it actually begs the question, Dave, because it's been a while since someone's mentioned a Boston Cooler. That's a decidedly Detroit dessert. We have no real way of understanding how Boston got into the name, but I wonder if there are enough things like that that someone could send a question
Yeah.
set of things named after obvious things that have nothing to
Yeah,
do.
like how did
with what they're
Coney
named
Dog ever
after.
catch on?
yeah, I was gonna say Coney. Yeah,
Well, that's a no-brainer because we had so many people from northern New York resettle in this area. They
Okay.
remember Coney Island.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah.
what's the Boston Cooler?
It's Verner's mixed with vanilla ice cream.
and delicious.
Okay.
Sounds
It's delicious.
Really
Annie hears a man on the radio talk about missing his wife and becomes obsessed.
Sleepless in
Sleepless in
Seattle.
That didn't take very long.
That was bad.
Rosie O'Donnell, Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, 1993. Yes, she comes so obsessed with him, she breaks off her own engagement. That's one sentence summaries of movies.
Bill
That's great.
Pullman, I think it was, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Sounds about right.
It's just a milk toast enough to be the husband that gets left at the altar. Yeah, that sounds about right. Carol becomes suspicious of her neighbor when he seems too happy after his wife suddenly dies, but she can't convince her husband anything's wrong. She ends up investigating, and eventually they get in over their heads because it turns out she was right.
Is this
Dun,
Rear
dun,
Window?
dun.
No.
This is
No, it's City. Sorry,
1993.
Bonita City.
Jack Nicholson and Shirley
says he-
MacLaine. No,
No, it says here it's a 1993. Diane Keaton and the
Manhattan Murder
Director-
Mystery.
Manhattan Murder
Ah.
Mystery. Yeah, that's right. Woody Allen movie. I can't help myself with all these scary movies on the air because it's the Halloween season. I got sucked in last night after a long day to Halloween 3,
Oh.
which is the worst Halloween movie of all time, but
Oh.
it's perfect kish and it's totally watchable because it's so crazy. And my wife is on Wikipedia looking up at other movies that these actors have been in. And the lead female had been in Manhattan Murder Mystery, actually.
Hey Matt, have
So,
you seen Werewolf by Night yet?
have not checked it out yet, but it's on the to-do list.
I was
Well-
going to say the new Halloween movie is not getting the best of reviews.
It is not.
This is Halloween Ends, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Ends.
presumably she kills Lori Michael has to kill her.
I don't know.
I think-
Don't
It just-
spoil the ending.
I haven't seen it
Spoiler.
yet, although I will.
This just ends. Somebody dies.
In
Butler
the
did it.
preview,
Safe
she
to
looks
say.
pretty determined to get rid of him.
Yeah.
The first two Halloweens are actually good. I thought Halloween one, the
Oh.
first one is great, and I thought the second was a not too bad.
No, it's
follow-up.
true. By the time number 3 comes, the producers had decided it was going to be an anthology series
Right.
with no connection to Michael Myers, and every movie would just take place on Halloween. Halloween 3, sorry to spoil it for you, is
Season of the
about
Witch.
yes, the season of the witch. There is no witch involved, which is the first strike. is about a crazy old Irishman who ships a piece of Stonehenge back to America, uses it to conjure magic in his Halloween masks, and then when kids wear their masks and watch the commercial for his product, their heads explode. Basically, that's the whole movie.
What a
And-
stellar plot. How
and
could
let
it
me
have
tell
not
you,
been great.
I'm
Oh my
reading the
God.
summary off of Wikipedia, and Leslie's laughing so hard because
Skip
I
over
know.
that.
because
Easily.
the protagonist, male and female, they are emergency room doctors who just so happen to have like observed some of
Let
this
the
offshoot
children's
and
head
suddenly just
exploding?
leave their jobs and to go murder mystery style and try to find where these masks are coming from. And of course, the lead male is in a failed marriage and he's an alcoholic. It's just every trope you can
Oh,
imagine
jeez.
shoved into the same movie. Can't help myself. It's great. But good kishy cult movie people know what I mean. I cannot replicate it here. That the jingle in the commercial that makes the stuff activate is a very, very catchy jingle. I will not utter it here. You'll have to look it up
Okay.
online. Reuben comes from a family of macho hunters, but has never bagged a buck of his own. When the opportunity arises, we wonder if he'll have the guts to pull the trigger.
Ruben.
2001 stars Harvey Presnell and our good friend Jeff
Is
Daniels.
this Moonlight in
Escanaba.
Escanaba into Moonlight.
other way
That's
around.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, very well
I
done.
haven't seen it.
First a play, then a movie.
Sorry, I mean the only Reuben I can think of are sandwiches and Partridge Family. So
Reuben
Well, only one of those
Kincaid.
was food.
I was wanting to watch the Partridge Family again. I was
you and your
thinking-
David Cassidy obsession, right?
Well, yeah. I liked the show when
There's
I was a
nothing wrong with
kid.
that. Nothing wrong with that.
There was, Friday nights, there was Nanny and the Professor, Brady Bunch, Partridge Family, all in a
Yep.
row.
Right in a row.
It was awesome.
Speaking of my wife, this is definitely one of her favorite movies from her teenage years. If they can be the first to survive a 25th mission over Germany, this flight crew can finally go home.
Memphis Belle.
Memphis Belle.
Memphis Belle. I'm
Was-
guessing that she enjoyed Matthew Modine and Eric Stoltz. in
And
the
It
Harry
was a good
Connick
movie.
Jr.
Yeah, that's
It's a pretty good
that's-
movie.
It was
Yeah.
a good movie.
Yep. Now, when I think of Matthew Modine, all I think about is Stranger Things, but that's a totally different story. To bring some publicity and revenue to their small town, an amateur hockey team accepts a challenge to play the New York Rangers
Mystery
on national
Alaska.
Mystery
TV.
Alaska. It's one of
Yeah.
our favorites. We own it.
That is a great
It's a
movie.
great movie.
Russell Crowe, Hank Azaria, Mary McCormick. Mhm. Tracy's all set to marry the perfect, if somewhat boring man when her ex-husband shows
Philadelphia
up
story.
Yeah.
and ruins the wedding. Yep, that's an absolute classic.
And
Cary
it's
Grant,
remake
Jimmy
High
Stewart.
Society,
That's right. That's right.
the musical version.
This is absolutely spectacular, off the charts. Didn't even notice till right now because it doesn't have a number next to it. Bonus question for the professors: what's the name of the remake? That's great. High Society, 1957, by the way.
Yeah.
An unsuccessful vacuum cleaner salesman is recruited by the British Secret Service to set up a
Our
spy
man in
network.
Havana.
Eventually, he realizes the government's enemies are out to kill him. Our Man in Havana, starring everyone's favorites Maureen O'Hara, Burl Ives, and Obi-Wan himself, Alec Guinness.
Who sells vacuum cleaners like
Yeah, that was a
anymore?
Graham Greene novel.
It was a Graham Greene novel?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Man
a big
in the
deal.
battle.
Marilyn, these questions have been
Mhm.
off the charts. They're fantastic. We've got one more here. A pro basketball team is hopeless, but maybe with the help of an astrologer who tells them all their players have to be Pisces, they could
Fish.
become winners.
Fish that say Pittsburgh
The
or
fish that saved Pittsburgh. See, you already made the joke about the something that ate Pittsburgh.
it's
so
a
I
Jason
figured,
Roach thing. That's all. I mean, it's-
That is a real movie starring Dr. J, Julius Irving, Stockard Channing, and Jonathan Winters. Yep.
oh god.
Oh, and we're getting some feedback from what we used to call the Voice for God. Let's see if I can scroll appropriately without completely shutting down the Zoom. The Boston cooler has nothing to do with Boston, and in the beginning, maybe nothing to do with Verner's. The word about town is that the Boston cooler got its name from Detroit's Boston Boulevard
Oh,
and its proximity to Dr. Verner's soda fountain. That makes
Aha.
perfect
Okay.
sense. Yes. That's about as close as I've ever heard.
great.
Sure.
Awesome. So we did the fish that saved Pittsburgh. We're all set in that
We're good.
category. Thanks for the questions, Marilyn.
They
Those
were
were
great.
awesome. All right. We have just enough time left to go back to the list of imponderables. There's a dog in the window. I see it.
Look at that.
Oh,
How
handsome
much
puppy.
is that doggy in the window?
11,000 calories worth.
Right.
Speaking of calories, and the only way to even get close to beginning or ending a show with these folks, let's go back to
Oh,
food.
gee.
Okay.
It is a well-known psychological quantity that in every one of us is an excitement that grows when you go down a certain aisle of the grocery store. What is it for you is the question. Ooh.
100% the frozen foods aisle where the ice cream is.
Yep, ice cream for me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's it.
Perfect.
I could
Dave?
skip the rest of the store.
So favorite aisle?
the wine aisle. And I
That
gotta
is
go, I gotta go
awesome.
walk the puppy. So.
Oh,
bye.
okay. Well, we'll
See
see you
ya.
in a few.
Yeah,
Heather.
bye. I'll see you
Bye,
later.
Heather.
Bye.
I-
Baked
Yeah, with
baked
you.
goods.
I
Baked
think
goods like the
Baked
bakery.
goods. Yeah, the bakery aisle.
Sure.
chip aisle,
Coffee.
But-
Oh,
but also the frozen for my sugar-free popsicles that I'm addicted to, which is
Ooh.
right next to the ice cream, so they're in the same. But all the bags of chips, all the
yeah,
different
and that's
kinds
usually
of
adjacent to
chips.
the pop aisle too, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, that's right. Now we got to think of the other side of the aisle.
I freaked my parents out at some point when I was very, very young because I noticed in the pop aisle that Pepsi and Coke always had a very serious like Fago barrier between them. Like they could not be next to each other. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
blue versus red. It's like the original culture war.
It's
here,
the
you know?
DMZ. It's, definitely
Exactly.
the DMZ. Yeah.
But I have been fascinated in my older age to see just how many different kinds of brands of pop there are in between Coke and Pepsi in an aisle. It's actually
Oh
pretty
yeah,
entertaining.
Kroger has all their own brand interspersed in there between
Mhm.
Right.
Coke's at one end of the aisle and Pepsi's at the other, and all this other
Exactly.
stuff in between.
Exactly. I would say pop. Oh, there's the pup getting ready to go out for a walk.
Yeah.
Oh,
what
what a
good
handsome pupper. Oh, look
God.
how excited he is. Oh my gosh.
walk.
How about you, Stephen?
So, yeah, he'll, after his walk, followed by his 11,000 calorie dinner. I don't know, fresh fish.
Nice.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Oh, the butcher section possibly. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good meat,
So-
good fish.
Yep.
You must have loved, I'm sure you've been to Pike Market in Seattle where they throw the fish. over the
Oh
counter
yes.
to
Oh,
you.
yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Sure.
Beth, I've got a story about that place where I became hero and goat within 24 hours with my parents and seafood. So
Hmm. We'll have to hear that some other time.
another time, yes.
How about you, Aaron?
We forgot cheese. I was
Oh,
looking at the
course.
Oh.
cheese, and I love even Trader Joe's. They have some of those like Stilton with a hint of ginger. Oh my
Yep.
Hint.
It's so true too. My kids, one of my 3 kids who's not that much into it anymore, was a big cheese fiend when he was growing up, and he had a one-on-one relationship with the cheese lady at Westbourne Market.
yeah.
I mean, they recognized each other. She's
She's
still
wonderful.
is there.
She's
still
wonderful.
there.
I was
Oh
there
my
the other
gosh.
night looking for Worcestershire sauce, and I'm staring right at it. And she goes, "Hey, you knucklehead! It's over there in the wrapper." I was looking for the
that's
bottle.
right.
You
I
know,
was
Paper
looking for the
she's
wrapper.
bottle.
probably the one I was in there buying. Looking at some cheese or something, probably wanted to get Gruyere. And she said, well, there's this domestic one that's less expensive. And I said, well, do you recommend it? Is it any good? And she said, no. Which I was not. And I
She's that good though.
I
She's
said, well,
amazing.
life is too short to eat cheap cheese, right? Which is why you
Yes.
have to get the chunks of Parmigiano Reggiano. It's like, why bother
Right.
with anything else?
Right. That is exactly the process that the Mayo family went through when, I'm just embarrassed to say this, even after eating it for a good portion of my life, I just assumed that brick cheese was just mozzarella. It's definitely not. It's more of an American invention. And they have, not too surprisingly, giant bricks of brick cheese. And if you're going to make your own pizza at home, I'm just going to give you that little nugget. You go explore that on your own. Brick cheese is the best.
Matt, I wish I could. I've got a lactose-free wife here, so.
So sorry, Dave.
I know.
Next time I see the post at 3 a.m., I'll be like, it's pizza time. Let's do this. 100%.
Hold on, what was Mara's?
Oh, I think we heard from
Ice-
Mara.
Ice
did we?
cream.
Oh,
Ice
okay,
cream.
all right,
Yeah,
okay,
she was
okay.
number one.
Okay.
Frozen food aisle, 100%.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely. I'm afraid taking a look at our timer here, the time has come for us to say goodbye. Jim,
Goodbye.
See ya.
Dave,
Bye.
Aaron,
Bye.
Beth,
Hi.
Mara,
Goodbye.
and Stephen. And now these words from University of Detroit Mercy.
Ask the Professor is transcribed in, all of our homes, but usually it's in the Briggs Building in the Department of Communication Studies in the College of Liberal Arts and Education at University of Detroit Mercy's McNichols campus. Ask the Professor is produced and technically directed by Michael Jason and Brian Masonville, and our executive producer is Professor Jason Roach. Until next week, I'm your host, Matt Mayo.